charity. We will all be examined on charity. C.S. Lewis has an interesting analysis of the situation, indicating that the divine author has written on the heart of man with his powerful finger the law, the moral law, which we secretly understand, and that we all somehow know that the bottom line is this, and that therefore we will all be judged fairly, as the Lord indicates, by making of this, as it were, formally, the law of his kingdom. This is it. By this shall men know that you are my disciples. And so it is that we all secretly know that as we handle others, we will be handled, and no one can escape it. The council documents do indicate that somehow, mysteriously, we can hope that God will reach souls of goodwill. The goodwill, therefore, is the area, the inner sanctum, where God and man meet even in this world, and no one can escape the issue. Fidelity to conscience. Even a child knows it. And so when it comes to evangelization, we can work with this. Is there in this soul before me a spark of goodwill? If we search sufficiently, we will usually find there is. No one is beyond the pale. One thinks, for instance, of the sacramental confession of Rudolf Hess, responsible for such atrocities at Auschwitz. It was able to be absolved, for God got through to the will in time. Now, when it comes to specifically the area of worship, we find in today's gospel that this must be handled. Charity. If it isn't there, our worship is contaminated and cannot rise above the ground. And therefore, if a place, a locus of worship is not peaceful, but has a bad atmosphere, the praise is damaged and is not pure. It has no sense to have musical beauty, physical beauty, sensual beauty, for instance, with regard to the senses touched by incense and harmony on every level, but unpeacefulness around, sharp edges at the altar, people being hurt in the place of praise, where man shares the sacred space with angels. Something is really wrong. One can detect it too if one goes into a good or not good community. Peace in the air, warmth in the eyes, charity felt. These things matter. I remember at 17, when I was sent up to Ampleforth from our parish, which was run by Ampleforth, after being there, after being received into Catholic Church at Easter, how I came away and they put me on the minibus to send me back to York Station. Looking back and seeing the novice master who had received me into the church, the brethren were waving, and the smile coming out of their faces, and the word that came to me with a tear in my eyes was, there is love in this community. Let that be the experience that anyone coming close to us receives. St. Polycarp, the saint of this day, knew St. John when he was elderly. And we know how this holy apostle would always say the same thing. Little children, love one another. Why, Father, do you always say the same thing? It was all that the Lord commanded. And if it were done, it would be enough. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom.